Have you ever considered collecting original art? If so, stay tuned to hear a little bit more about our story. Hey there, comic fam. Welcome back to Climbing Comics. I'm Alan, and today I'll be diving into original art, aka OA. When I got back into comics in 2019, I mainly focused on the books, but soon after, I realized there were certain artists that I really liked and started following on Instagram and whatnot, and found myself down this rabbit hole looking at their original art pieces. So throughout this entire couple years, I kind of had zero guidance in terms of what's out there, what should I collect versus like what's real, what's not real. So luckily, throughout these last couple of years, I met a good buddy of mine, Steve, aka Master Blaster, through the Reggie Collects channel. And this guy has a couple pieces of original art, and I would like to bring him on to ask him about his story, about how he got into it, ask him some questions so I know what I should be doing when starting to get into this little niche of the hobby. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Steve on.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good to have you. Good to have you. Your background looks a little bit different. Not as many yellow.
That's right.
Yellow
I live out on the outskirts of Phoenix, so that we could do a quality video. Oh man, that just happened.
Steve, welcome in again. I'm very appreciative of you joining me today. We've been talking for the last couple of years, right? About just comics in general. And I think because I wanted to get into original art probably 6-8 months ago, I messaged you separately just to kind of hear about your story. And I thought it was like a really cool story. So I wanted to bring you on so you could tell the people about how you got into original art and like, yeah, and where you are right now.
Awesome. Thanks for on, and I'm going to be pumped to tell the story, but right out of the gate, it's like I do still consider myself a novice. I want everybody know that. So because the nuances of the comic book world, there are the same nuances in original art. So it'll be coming from my experience and my perspective. So that's my like disclaimer, you know. But so I ran into original art on eBay. That's how it started coming across my feed, and that was about 6 years ago when I was dipping back into comic books at that time. So I got really lucky on a Herb Trimpe Incredible Hulk 180, 181, 182 lot. And that just got me pumped about Herb Trimpe and Hulk and Wolverine. So I had that internet, that saved search in eBay, and an original art piece popped up. And so that was my first page that tempted me to like even look at it and see what this is all about.
So this was your first piece that you like ever obtained as an original art piece, yeah?
Yes, off of eBay. The neat thing about this, so it's Herb Trimpe, and he's obviously known for his Hulk run, but he did a lot of art. He did G.I. Joe and other things. But the neat thing about this is you have Iron Man in there, and it's like old Iron Man, right? I mean,
yeah, with the roller skates, with a rocket in the back.
For the record, jet skates.
Jet skates. Apologies.
Yeah. I don't want Tony Stark coming over to your house. Yeah. So this page just captured my attention because it had two superheroes in it. Okay. And they're fighting in that top panel. And the jet skates, and it says Stark Industries. I think now I got lucky to stumble on this page because it set the tone for what I like. Um, I like the something you can display,
Mm-hmm.
and the if the superhero is in costume and doing something, one of their abilities, or fighting someone, all of these things I'm saying just tick up the scale of what you would want. All right. And the more of those combinations you can do, the better the piece of original art is, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I approach it from an art angle. Some people might buy a story, it might be a dialogue page, but that's the first comic book that they've ever owned, or they really like the storyline. So they might buy it for the story. Where I have a degree in art and I
That's
approach it
awesome.
in the name original art, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's art to me.
Yeah. Man. So when you collected this first piece, so did you just go for, were you also looking for other Herb Trimpe at that point? Or were you looking for Hulk at that point?
I just stumbled onto this page and I appreciated it. And I really didn't like do any other research or start hunting and comparing. It was a very reasonable price too, so I didn't need to worry about, am I making a mistake
Yeah.
or anything like that. So I just, and we've talked before with comic books, I wing it a lot and I go with my gut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not recommended for a beginner in original art, but I did it in this case. And when you get original art in your hand, okay, it's a lot bigger. This is 11 by 17.
Yeah. This
So it's
must be
hard,
huge.
right? And I know you've seen original art pages before, but for
Yeah.
the um it's just neat to hold a one of a kind original published. So the original part is, we're mainly going to look at and talk about published comic book art, emphasize
Mm-hmm.
the art part. So
Yes.
yeah,
So after, I'm gonna bring it just back to us two. So after you got that piece, did you then obtain the actual comic book itself, so you could kind of see after it was, like, they added the colors, they had the inkers and everything happen to it?
I had it already.
Oh, nice.
Accidentally, I had purchased a whole lot of the Rampaging Hulk. Um, so that's what I did. I ran right over, I pulled the magazine out and I
Mm-hmm.
flipped it. And that, it's amazing you asked that, because that was a aha moment. Like, that is right there, and that's the original art, and
Yeah,
I
it's
have it. Yeah.
that's pretty nuts, because I feel like you have more appreciation for, this is one of many pages in a book that an artist, they're just like pumping out pages and pages and pages, and how much time and work and effort it takes just to make a single page. When you look at those details, looking and reading some of these panels that you showed, it's pretty nuts, just the amount of, like, shading work. I don't have an art degree, so like, um I could just kind of see and appreciate the things that you would see in a piece like this.
Right. And then, so at this time frame, that's from 78. Herb
Oh,
Trimpe's,
78. Okay.
yeah, does the pencils, and then it goes to, and I don't know off the top of my head who the inker is, and then the letterer. And so
Mm-hmm.
it passes through multiple people's hands, and then there are production marks on it. You can see there were different colors and things, and I'm not quite sure what it's all about, but there are even notes on the side, to people
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
what to do for the final production. It's a historical record of what was going on, conversations that the artist and the storyteller and the inker were having. It's really neat.
I've always wanted to ask you this, because maybe we could bring up another one of your original art pieces. But does the artist just do the panels full, like not assuming that there's like thought bubbles or speak bubble, or like, word bubbles there? And then I remember seeing some like pieces like glued or taped on top of of art pieces? Like, is that a normal thing to do?
Both.
Both. Oh, okay. All right.
I would say, I'm not an expert on the modern digital stuff. I have some knowledge on it, but the artists normally don't need to worry about that because it can be digitally placed. But if you're the artist, think about it. You don't want to spend a lot of time and energy in the corner of this panel doing art if it's going to get
Yeah.
caught up. So they do delineate those spaces most of the time. And
Yeah.
they can do preliminary layouts, it's called. And some people
Mm-hmm.
layouts so that they can lay the panels out and what you're talking about, not waste their time doing art in something that's going to be covered up, frankly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna bring up one of your other pieces. This is the Web of Spider-Man. I think this is issue 117, page 5. So
Yes.
you could kind of see that there is like there's a discoloration in the thought bubble. So like this tells me that this was added after the artist did the art.
Yeah, and that's the glue, degrading over time and affecting the.
Mm-hmm.
But it is pasted on there. You are correct.
Yeah.
And
So this makes
it's original. You know,
Oh, this is an indication that it is an original.
it is. I mean, someone could do a scan and it would show you that discoloration. But I think if you zoom in on that one, when I took the picture, you can see there's a shadow underneath it because it's lifting a little bit.
Yeah, like right here. Right
So,
here.
if you're on eBay and you're buying, I do not recommend a novice start on eBay.
Okay.
I would go through an auction house and purchase art via auction. We can talk about that later versus a buy it
Mm-hmm.
now. But you have to be careful. But the good thing about eBay, if you get it in hand and you realize it's a copy, you have buyer protections and things like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what I wanted to like ask you next, right? So I know that you've collected a lot of the Web of Spider-Man pages. What led you to that? Is like I'm assuming Spidey's one of your favorite characters, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah. So what kind of led you to Web of Spider-Man?
So any Amazing Spider-Man art is just going to cost an arm and a leg.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yes.
it was a financial decision to go to Web of Spider-Man because these pages were compared to Amazing Spider-Man or even Spectacular Spider-Man would be a fraction of the cost. If this
Oh, really?
if
Okay.
this page you were showing was on the Amazing Spider-Man title, the same art, it would cost me 5 times at least.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy. And I'm assuming you bought these like how many years ago? This is like not today's comic prices. I'm assuming this is like
No. So I slowed down buying original art once I started doing the Yellow Label Stan Lee run to divert my. But so over the last three years ago, I just went hard and I bought a bunch of original art and I have over 125 pages now. And
what?
Oh yeah. And 50 or 60 of them are Web of Spider-Man pages because I love Spider-Man and that's where I could get the best bang for my buck on original art. So I went.
So how do you choose? Like, did you choose based off the artist for Web of Spider-Man at that time, or were you looking for certain action scenes? I kind of know why you chose this page because it's Spider-Man jumping out of the page. But in general, what do you look for when you choose a piece?
Like, because it's art, I'm looking for it to be displayable,
Yeah.
Piece. And this one is a perfect example. You've got Spider-Man in costume and multiple panels, and you've got a back shot. You've got him, no spider senses, I don't believe. Oh yeah, maybe. Nope. But
Nope.
he, dangling from the web.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are just things that every other person who's interested in original art is going to be looking for. And
Yeah.
so it's a financial, there's financial considerations with original comic book art. And I'm thinking about, I am not going to own this page forever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I gravitate towards what I love, the characters that I love, but I'm hoping that I can get a page just like this, that is a showstopper display piece, because I want to display it and I want it to be a sound investment, because
Mm-hmm.
answer to Madame Blaster, and she, you know,
What's your end game?
I let me say something about this page.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Savick did a epic run on Amazing Spider-Man of art, and it ended on Web of Spider-Man 116. So
Oh wow.
this is Web of Spider-Man 117, and Stephen Butler took the art over. And I would recommend to anybody the early art, when someone takes over the art on a title, it's an audition. They are showcasing their skills. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You just took this over from, if you know, Eric Larson taking over after Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to come out of the gate with your best stuff, and
Yeah,
uh, Stephen Butler did it. This page is fantastic.
this is fantastic. This is an amazing piece. Yeah, this is, man, like when I went to let the audience know, I recently got like two pieces of original art, and obviously like I went for, I'm gonna bring you back here. So
Okay.
I kind of followed like kind of your footsteps when looking at original art, especially when I asked you about a couple pages, because for me, I went for, I really like the artist Alvaro Martinez Bueno. So he with James Tinian did the Justice League Dark, the second edition or the second series, and I was looking for pages with as many characters as I could have on that page. I want them doing something, and I wanted some sort of like action or some sort of something artistic. So like let me show the viewers what I picked up. So I picked up, let me add this. So this is Justice League Dark issue number 4, page 2. So I chose this because, you know, it has Detective Chimp, it has Wonder Woman, Man Bat, it has Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Constantine, and it has like this warping type of like imagery, right? Where have you do you know MC Escher? I'm sure you know MC Escher.
Yes.
Like the artist MC Escher, he has like that one image of where it's like a reflection from a ball, and then
Right.
everything is a little bit warped because he's looking at his reflection through a ball. So once I saw this, I was like, oh, that's a really cool effect that's going on. And I actually messaged the artist himself. I said, "Hey, was some of your inspiration from MC Escher?" And he said, "Yeah, that was actually a lot of his inspiration for a lot of the other art pieces."
Right.
Um,
That's amazing.
so yeah, it was really cool because when I talked to you about this, it did make sense. You want something that showcases the artist and showcases a lot of the characters that are in the book itself. But man, for you, like let me bring you back. What is your favorite piece that you currently own? Because I only own like 2 pieces, and
Right.
you have a lot of pieces. I'm sure some
Well,
of them mean more to you than others.
that example, your example is amazing. And that is key, I think, is to connect to the page, not in the comic book continuum, but as art.
Yeah.
You're going to love it, right? It,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like you said, it had a different perspective. And the fact that you could reach out to the artist and he confirmed that is what's amazing about, you know, being alive today, that you can reach out
Yeah.
to. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But my favorite piece right now, the can statement would be the next one coming in the mail, you know, like the new edition,
Yes.
whatever.
Exactly.
It is it's a cover, the Punisher 102. You have the image if you want to pull it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that guy up.
Oof, man.
This is striking. Like when I saw this, I was like, whoa, this is both creepy, striking, but amazing at the same time.
It's iconic. Um, Everything you said about it, like everybody in the comic book community has seen this cover, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and they probably remember it and have something to say about it. For me, frankly, if I were a comic book artist, I think that my artwork would look like this. It would be expressive. It would be loose and
Mm-hmm.
and haunting and it, I mean, it is very expressionistic in nature. I think the way
Mm-hmm.
that the inks and the overlays and he's building up. This is Frank Turin. He was really young when he did this. I messaged him and he messaged me back,
Oh
and
wow.
he was barely in high school, and Marvel. He sent something to Marvel, and they gave him a run on the Punisher, and
Wow.
he just crushed it. His art's amazing. He does different art now,
Mm-hmm.
but this is so iconic. Everyone knows it. It's just a fantastic piece. It's a flagship of my collection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool that you get to see, like, you could definitely tell that things are kind of pasted on top. Um, and I like how you see the direct edition for the for the barcode later on, like all of these small little details. So, okay, I have a side question for you. And
Okay.
let me bring this back because there's this story that I want to tell our viewers. So, I was just messaging with Steve and Matthew, young Matthew, and Matt before we all met at GarageCon last year. And during that visit, first time when I met Steve, he brought his portfolio of original art pieces. So he let me page through them. I was like really surprised. I was like, "Oh, I could touch this." And so, as I was paging through them, you had one piece where there were, I guess, cutout pieces pasted onto the page, but then you're like, "Hey, look at this," and you lifted it up to the light, and you could see that there was art
Oh,
actually behind that piece. So I thought that was one of my favorite stories. So do you mind sharing that story with the listeners and viewers?
sure, absolutely. That happens sometimes where the artist doesn't like what they drew, or it'll get kicked back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
be like, no, this last panel we want to have a cliffhanger, and they have to redo the art. So that was a page I got off of eBay, and I could see from the photo that it looked like it was paste on. So I bought it. It's a Web of Spider-Man page, and when I received it, I put it up to one of our bay windows, and the Arizona sun was shining. The comic book page and the overlay, and I could see all the art. So I grabbed my iPhone and I took a picture, and then I edited it, and I blew out the light, and you could see the art. And it
Oh God.
was, what was on it was a big splash of the main character coming at you, but underneath it, that was not the case. It was a little tiny image of the main character on a building, and other things were happening. So that's like undiscovered art that's like only seen by whoever I show it to,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Like no one, like, it's from the print run, no one ever sees that art that, the artist probably spent a ton of time on. But like when you showed me that piece, I'm like, wow, that was really amazing. That was really cool.
That is really
Yeah.
a thing and people will ask. I'll see people in forums, and they'll ask about that, and they'll be like, is there art underneath?
Oh, they will ask. Okay.
They'll ask
Nice.
the dealer, because I don't think they pay anymore, but they're highly interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good segue because one of the things that I've done. So when I bought original art, I was lucky enough to buy directly from the artists themselves, right? But you mentioned eBay, there might be other websites and whatnot. But for you, how can you tell like if what you're buying is actually an original art piece, or what do you look for either fakes or reprints or whatnot?
Well, I'll tell you what to look for, but my first advice is if you go to an auction house, or you can find the original art dealers. If you go to like the Comic Art Fan, that's where all my gallery,
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
they're all reputable. But the reason I'm recommending that if you're going to start out that you purchase it through the auction house is then you're not going to overpay and you're going to know it's real. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Go to a
Yeah.
dealer, you're going to know it's real, but they have their price, and 9 times out of 10 that's the fair market value and you can buy it with confidence. But some of the dealers just have high prices, so I would not recommend a novice going to the wrong dealer and just paying really high price, based on
Yeah.
what, if that makes sense. But when you look at it, so the penciler, if you can see through the photo, when they do the art, it impresses into the Bristol board. There's an impression,
Oh, okay, okay.
right?
Yeah.
So you can ask the person, they're going to, hopefully it says original art. You need to read the words on the listing, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
on eBay, there is a lot of scans. And if you're buying an original piece of comic book art for $50 and it's a Jim Lee X-Men page, that's a scam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it'll look amazing. But you just do your normal due diligence like you do with a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
If the person have a good rep, you look at the photos, is everything lining up? Does it look like pencil and ink? And when you get it in your hand, then you'll be able to see what I just said. When you're a kid and you use a lead pencil and you
Yeah.
catch light in it and all that, and the ink's on top of it, you can do the same thing with the original comic book art.
Oh, wow.
Now
That's a good point.
that's from the 90s. All the new stuff where it's blue pencils or blue line, and it can get scanned over to the inker and then printed out and inked. That's where it gets
Mm-hmm.
a bit, that's why I avoid modern art a little bit more, because I
Ah,
know what to pay for it based on if it's a blue printout and then it's just inks really
mm-hmm.
over a printout. But there could be blue pencils that is sent over to the inker, and it gets a little sketchy. The blue pencil, you can still see the indentions and all that stuff, but that is where it gets a little tricky. So I recommend going back in time a little bit, because it's a lot more clear that pencils were laid down. You could just have,
Mm-hmm.
I think your example was just pencils,
Yep,
right?
it was just pencils.
Right? That's original art. But a lot of my stuff mainly is penciled and then inked over. So you need to, when you have it in hand, check that there's pressure marks and smudges. You can see people's fingerprints in it, and sometimes all kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up a couple of your pieces because sorry, I'm gonna sorry if I jumped the gun a little bit here. But yeah, I was trying to look at some of these pieces, and yeah, you could definitely tell like the ink on top of the pencil. But I can't really tell for any smudges or whatnot. But
I
yeah,
just
this is yeah.
Yeah, look, you can see if you go the top or the bottom, all the, Stanley Presents, that's pasted on. And
Mm-hmm.
so is the information at the bottom. Now, someone could take a high resolution scan of this, and all those color variations and stuff would be there. That's why it's critical when you get it in hand, you need to buy from somebody reputable so that you can return it if there's
Yeah,
shenanigans involved, right?
for sure, for sure.
And you just do your due diligence. But if you start with an auction house, they vet it. They aren't gonna, their reputation's on the line. you have to send the art to them unless they know you, so they can make sure it's real before it goes in the catalog and
Mm-hmm.
sell something. They don't have a tolerance level for that. They can't. Their reputation can't withstand that. So,
For
there
sure.
heritage auctions, comic link auctions, and
Mm-hmm.
I it sounds crazy to recommend a novice go to the auctions, but it's the safest space to buy original art, in my opinion.
Interesting, interesting. So I've only created accounts on like yeah, Heritage Auctions, Comic Connect, and stuff like that, just to look at comics. But I've never actually like tagged like original art. But it'll be cool to check out some of those pieces. Man, this is I still can't believe that you got this. I said this is such
I,
an amazing piece.
I can't
All right.
believe
Do
this
you
is.
mind like retelling your story about this piece? This is kind of nuts.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a long story to it, but I have a bunch of saved searches on eBay. I still purchase original art off of eBay. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't start there. And What If, the series What If is one of my favorite series. And I have multiple What If original art pages. So that's one of my saved searches. And I regularly, once a day, go through my saved searches and see what's going on. And I did that, and this page popped up.
Oh.
And I was, it says stunning. I was shocked. The price was very low, and it was set at buy it now, or you could bid on it, which would have gotten rid of the buy it now. That's how it's set up now on eBay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to buy it, so I immediately did what you were asking me. I scrutinized the photo as fast as I could to make sure it looked real.
Yep.
And I read the description, and it said original comic book art and everything, and I pulled the trigger. Now this is the first page of that book. It's called a title page is when they introduce the title at the top,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's got all the credentials on it, and then it's also a comic book splash page, right? So there's no panel ups. So this was
Yeah.
a series that I loved. It's got the Watcher on it twice. You've got
Oh
Shang-Chi.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
And think about it. It looks like the first appearance, special edition. What?
15.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the neat thing about the What If comic, the same art, it's like a guest artist every issue, and it's telling a different story.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned about Stephen Butler, like showing off his chops when he took over Web of Spider-Man on 117.
Mm-hmm.
This artist, I'm drawing a blank. I'm looking. Bear with me.
No problem.
Rick Hoberg. I just
Yeah.
remember.
Rick Hoberg. Yeah, I got it right here.
To me, this is him showing Marvel, like he's auditioning to get his own title or whatever. I mean, this page is a showstopper.
Yeah.
Well,
It's stunning.
story about, so I received a box, and I opened it up, and there was no original art in it. It was empty.
God.
Yeah.
Oh God. I remember you showing us a picture of the box, and I was like, "What are you showing us, Steve? What is this?" And you're like, "This is what I got." I was like, "Oh, that's it."
Well, I thought it was too good to be true because it was a fantastic price. And long story short, I reached out to the seller, and he thought I was scamming him at first. And I said, please just double check your portfolio. And then he came back and said, this has never happened before. All apologies. And he got it out in the mail. And it is, in fact, hanging up in the man cave right now. So that's my edition. It's fantastic.
This is fantastic. This whole when you showed us this picture, I just remember being shocked because of how it did remind me of the Marvel like special edition like 15. And yeah, this is nuts. And yeah, Fu Manchu, his dad there, like these weird creatures, and yeah, you get the Watcher twice here. Man, I could just with Disney coming out with the show, oh man, I'm excited for like all of these different what ifs that they have.
I'm with you. Um,
Yeah.
that's the best addition across the board to my collection this year, right there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Man, yeah. When I saw this, I was like, "Huh, should I get into original art?"
you should.
Yeah.
Hey, with original art, um, you need to bite off more than you can chew. I would recommend if someone were buying their very first piece of original art, I would recommend they buy the best piece. Reach. You don't want to dip your toe into this. You want to do a cannonball, because when you get it, then you'll know if you're hooked or not. And you don't want to buy something that you're settling on when it comes to original art. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. That page right there, it's going to be with me for 30 years. Like, you
Hmm.
get crack at these pages possibly,
Yeah.
because they go
Man.
into a collector's collection, and there's only that one, and it's not coming out until they decide it's time to let go of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, I totally understand you because so let me bring you back here. I have a little bit of regret because I just dipped my toe in the first time. I didn't jump straight in. So I did buy that piece by Alvaro Martinez Bueno, which is the interior piece, but initially he was selling the a cover piece. And I was like, maybe should I do a cover? Maybe not. I'll just buy the interior piece. And I let 6 months pass, and I was like, all right, actually I really do want that piece. And I remember sending you a picture of it, and you're like, that is amazing. And then so I went back to Alvaro Martinez Bueno and asked him if it was available. He said he still has it, but he's gonna start using it for exhibitions. So now I realize that like what I missed out on, that it's so big that he's actually gonna bring it out to like different places and show the masses that piece of art. So I did tell him, I was like, if this ever comes back to being on sale, please let me know.
I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but yeah, it's like you could have had that piece, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot out there. I don't want to, you just, once you jump in, you get a piece, and then when you miss out, now the next time you're not going to hesitate when all the stars are in alignment, when it aligns with your budget, and
Mm-hmm.
recognize it for what it is,
Yeah.
an opportunity to have a piece of history, you know.
Yeah. It was so I'll add this to the video, but so there was a pencil piece. So this is the cover art for issue number 4. And as you can tell, like I really do like MC Escher, like the weird type of like psychedelic slash weird pattern stuff. So his staircase where things are, you don't know what's upside down or right side up. I had an opportunity at like the pencils of this cover, but I did not pull the trigger. And I
Man.
will, yeah, it was pretty epic. And you have Wonder Woman, like one of the holy trinity of DC,
Yeah.
smack dab in the middle.
You know, you're meeting everything you're saying about like you value the artist, the characters, and then the art approach to it, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
that's the trinity of things that you want when you're looking.
Yeah.
You have opportunity to get something, there's a lot of original art out there. You just gotta, that piece you might not see for a long time, and hopefully it comes back up, and you have
Hopefully it comes.
that's happened to me 1 or 2 times where I lost out on a piece or I passed on it, and it did show back up. So it's not the end all be all, but you do need to pounce if you like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool because like you provided me with a couple of pieces of work that I do definitely want to highlight. And what are your thoughts on like double page pieces? Because like when you pounce on this, speaking of tigers and pouncing or lions,
Yeah.
Like when you saw like a dual page like this, does that attract you more? Like when it's like a splash page X2?
Definitely. So the first page that we talked about, it was a panel page. That's what it's described as. And
Yeah.
then kind of you can get like a half page splash or a full page splash. And then the next thing, as you're moving up the scale of desirable layouts, is a double page splash, of course. And that's this.
Hmm.
So
This
this
thing's amazing.
Sam Keith from Marvel Comics presents 118, and
Mhm.
I'm a huge Sam Keith fan. He's my favorite
Yeah.
artist. And
Huh.
on one of the dealers, Ramita Man's website, this is the piece I paid the most for, by the
Hmm.
way, for the record. Um, I just loved everything about it because Sam Keith, his art, he did he painted on this, like the edges there, you can see the brush strokes. Um, right there, that top panel, he's almost nodding to Frazetta, Frank Frazetta.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. So I knew I liked Sam Keith and I knew I wanted a piece. And sometimes that's how I had to approach it. And then I had this as a buying opportunity. So
Hmm.
how I landed on this piece. I ended up getting another Sam Keith piece that we're going to show later. But like you said, this is a double page splash. Venom at the time when I bought it wasn't as hot as he is now. I bought this before the first Venom movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Venom's always been a decently popular character, but I mean, now it didn't hurt that it had Venom on it. And if you know the Max, Sam Keith did the Max.
Oh, yeah. I remember that the cover with like the big teeth and stuff.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm a Max fan. And so this spoke to Venom, frankly, looks like the Max a little bit.
Hmm.
Some of these panels. So all the stars were in alignment, my budget, and I wanted to add a Sam Keith page. So this is the one I landed on. And I think it's a clean one to display because the background, there's not a lot of busyness. So
Uh-huh.
15 feet, you can still read what's going on. You know, this one
Yeah.
is played in my house, museum glass, framed. Um, and I only have two pages displayed, this one and the what if page that we just talked about.
Oh gosh, yeah, these are great pages.
Yeah.
Man, okay. Yeah, so which is your other Frazetta piece?
I don't have Rosetta piece or
Oh.
I'd be able to buy a house, but the other page, it's got Wolverine on it if you want to flip to it.
Oh,
Also,
yeah. Mm-hmm. This one right here.
that one, yeah, so that's another.
This was cool.
The neat thing about this one, I love portraits. I see you have a Wolverine portrait behind you.
Oh, yeah. So let me I'm gonna come back to just me first. Um, so I have this piece right here, brought to you by our very good friend Matthew Stivoletti, and man, Matthew, over this past couple years since we've been friends with him, every piece he comes out with, it just feels like it's better and better and better. And I was really glad to pick this one up at the Berkeley Comic Show recently. I got to meet Matthew again and pick up this piece. I told him, hey, I, I I asked him for a commission probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to the meet, and I was like, all right, don't show me any progress pictures or the picture itself. I just want to go there and then just see what it was. And man, like the detail of this piece is really amazing. And man, his Wolverine's one of my favorite characters. I cannot go wrong with this one.
It's a fantastic piece. He's, I can't say anything bad to you right now, or he's going to jump out at me.
Exactly, like this Wolverine.
Yeah. The best part of this page is the top panel. He's angry, right?
Yeah.
And he's got his claws out. It's the bottom half of this page. Okay, the panels are stepping down, right? So you see
Mm-hmm.
it stepping down. The panels are getting thinner as Wolverine calms down. His
Ah,
balls are detracting, his head is sinking, the panels shrinking, and I'm just like, I love this page
this is
because,
awesome.
right, the
Yeah.
treatment, I don't need to read the word bubbles. I'm going off of he's using the panels to tell the story, the
Yeah.
way manipulating and shrinking them and stepping them down. So this is one of those pages that I connect to, not only because I love Sam Keith, it's got Wolverine on it, it's fantastic art, but that I noticed. I don't know if other people subliminally you're going to notice, or you're reading the story and you see settling down, but I don't need to read the story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's being told through the artwork. So just love that page.
Yeah, I remember watching a couple of have you ever watched the Marvel 616 series on Disney Plus?
I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah, so I remember there were a couple of episodes where the matching up of artists and writers is it's like cooking like a gourmet 3 Michelin star restaurant meal when you get an artist who knows how to tell the story through their own art, and then you minimally have to have the writer add like thought bubbles or speak bubbles. So that totally reminds me of this panel that you talk about right here. Yeah, this is, I didn't realize that until you just talked about it right now, but that's an amazing piece.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Man, man. So like let me see what else. So one of the things, all right, I'm gonna ask you a, possible controversial question. Okay. One of my favorite artists is Pepe Larraz, and he was like one of the young guns of Marvel in like I think 2019, 2018. So Pepe Larraz did House of X and Powers of 10 with Jonathan Hickman, and he actually does a lot of his work digitally now, which a lot of artists do, right? So you may not necessarily get an original pencil art piece if they're using their tablets, they're using other media to like do certain pieces of art. But one thing I did recently is I purchased, I don't know if I could call it an original art piece, but it is considered a monoprint directly from Pepe Larraz himself. And he, like what he says is that he only prints one of one of each of these pages. And then so, like, I'm going to bring this up. Let me pull up this picture. All right. I want to know your thoughts on pieces that are digital and printed out. So this is House of X issue 5, number 1. One of the main reasons I got this is like this is all about, this is Polaris, this is Magneto, Krakoa, and like the big tree of Krakoa, right? So this is a very striking like whole like half of the page is like a tree. But the tree of Krakoa is a huge part of the X-Men storyline right now. And I picked this up. I really do appreciate it. I really do love it. But I know that I don't know if there's an actual like pencil art piece out there. But I wanted to collect this for myself because I wanted something from Pepe Larraz because he is one of my favorite artists. And I wanted to know your opinion on digital art in terms of like it being printed out like this.
And you think it was penciled, right?
I'm not sure if it was digitally penciled or if it was penciled with a pencil. That's the difference. So I don't know if there's an actual piece of something that Pepe owns that is like with pencil on it.
To me, I mean, I looking from afar, it looks like there's original art there.
Okay.
So I know sometimes something will be created completely digital, and then the artist will sell it and then certify that they are going to delete the file.
Oh, okay.
Then you get like a printout, uh, like a high resolution printout.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not quite sure what you purchased. You
So
the digital.
I purchased a digital print.
Okay.
It was so this is like a print of the page.
I think that there might be original art still out there, and that and they're not going to make another one of those. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
right now. This is exactly why I sort of stay clear. First off, it's an amazing page. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
like you're like it's just the tree, but if it's a huge part of the story,
Yeah.
it's an amazing uh, piece. That's why it's so tricky. I believe that the artists, they cannot, your reputation's everything. So there's not going to be another one. If they told you there's one, I believe that there will only be one.
Yes.
Second, there's another one, there goes reputation. And
For sure.
that's not worth it.
Exactly.
So I can't answer your question. What do I think about it? I think because we can't answer the question if there's an original page out there or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's why I steer clear of it.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. That's exactly why when I look at this page and I tell people I have this page, I don't tell them I have original art. I basically tell them I have like a digital print of this page that is a one of one. And like it's a very like a labor intensive way to tell what this page is, but like
I would say this: the art, the calling it original art. Okay, if you think about Andy Warhol, okay, and
mm-hmm.
the Campbell soup cans, and
Yeah.
then yeah, Liechtenstein, he took panels. He wasn't the first person to do it, but he's really well known for taking comic book panels, painting it on canvas, and they sell for millions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing all of this up because I think that original comic book art is going to really be considered art in the future, like
Yeah.
pop art, right? Andy Warhol, it's pop art. Original comic book art is culture related pop art, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would recommend. I'm not. I'm switching gears on you, and we're talking to a novice, let's say, where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
dive in, like do a cannonball, and try to buy an older piece first.
Yeah.
And then you can start looking at the modern stuff once you're comfortable with what's happening.
Yeah.
So, and
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense.
it's a one of a kind if you are buying the older stuff. With yours, that's up in the air right now on that. I mean, we know that if you stick to these parameters, that it's a main character, action, something fantastic's happening. Investment wise, you are not going to lose out.
For sure. It's amazing because I know some of these artists, and I'll mention Pepe Larraz because I know he does do some work on pencils. He actually rented out like an art gallery in Spain, and he has like his art pieces, and people are going there, and it's just like his art pieces when you walk around. I have to send you the link after this video.
Well, like a Jack Kirby is could be hung in a museum, gets hung in a museum. Like, let's be clear.
Yeah.
I'm saying like maybe that seems vain. Say my collection could be hung up in a museum, but I'm just saying like the stuff that's considered just original comic book art that's being traded on eBay right now willy nilly.
Mm-hmm.
It says original comic book art. I just think it's going to go to art pop culture one day in the future, all of it,
Yeah.
because it might all go digital, and it is art, frankly.
It is. It is. So I do want to bring up another piece of yours that really spoke to me because when you talk about art and I see something like this, I don't really know this character, but the way that this page was drawn was very artistic to me. Like if I saw this when it's pencil versus when it's like colored, this would be a really, really cool page. Like, do you want to give some history to this page?
That's why I'm glad you brought this page up. And the intro is amazing for this page, because this is a page I bought off of eBay. It's Eric Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Even know the characters on this. It's funny you say that. I own this page. I don't care. I didn't go back. It is Eric Larson going to town, experimenting on backgrounds. It's fun. Like every panel, especially in the middle towards the end, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Treatment, that middle panel where all the line back work
Mm-hmm.
is expressing the tension with those
Yeah.
lines, right? And
Yeah.
then that bottom panel where it's silhouettes, this kind of reminds me of Frank Miller, sort of Sin City, like a graphic treatment. Eric Larson is having fun on this page.
Mm-hmm.
He is trying out weird things. We're looking up the nostrils of these two guys on the right on that one panel. I don't even care what the story's about. This is an artist going off on a page.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite pieces of original comic book art, and it's worth nothing, frankly, within reason, comparative to everything else we've looked at. But artistic wise, I just admire Eric Larson for having fun. All I see artist having fun on this page.
Man, this page was amazing. And you know how I kind of like that background, the little like psychedelic trippy type of art. That's why when I read and look through like the Doctor Strange old books, a lot of the backgrounds are where the majority of the art is. So when I saw this, that totally reminded me of like just the background behind all of the main characters that really make the character pop. So this was an amazing piece. I'm glad you brought this.
Even at the bottom, the background is squeezing to go to where they're touching or whatever's going on in the middle there. You see it squeezing.
Yeah.
I love it. This is one of my favorite pieces, and why I really am foot stomping and think about these as art first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, and the thing is, you own this one of a kind piece. And so I had the fortunate opportunity to meet Eric Larson 2 years ago during like actually another Berkeley comic show. I had him sign a couple of books, but this is very different than what I know of Eric Larson. So when you say he was experimenting, this is a cool way to kind of experience the artist we know in a different way, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and I agree. He probably couldn't get away with this when he took over ASM from Todd McFarlane. I mean, showcase a different, jazzier, his style, I mean, hats off to the man for falling in behind Todd McFarlane, right?
Yeah.
But this was before that, and he was just maybe he was seeing what he could get away with. Maybe that title, this is what was expected. But when I saw this page, without knowing what the page before or the page after looked like, as a singular piece of art, I was like, I'm buying this page. Like, it went for lower than I was willing to pay, so I was happy. But
exactly, yeah. Like when you said this was Eric Larson, because I didn't look at the names before we looked at this, I was like, what? This is not Eric Larson. This is a pretty cool piece.
It's one of my favorites.
So okay, all right, this is a little bit off topic, but what is a proper way to store these? Like, you have over 100 pages,
right?
So like, how do you store them, and how do you like preserve them? Like comics, you don't keep them in the sunlight, obviously, but like what do you do to preserve these pages?
Well, you had mentioned that I brought a portfolio to GarageCon.
Yep.
That portfolio, I have multiple portfolios, and they're stacked on top of each other, and if they're not out and I'm not enjoying them, they're in the gun safe, secured.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then of course I mentioned that I have two on display, so you don't want them getting direct sunlight, just like a comic book, or you can put them under museum glass. So um, I want to display some more comic book art throughout the house,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
putting the Punisher 102 cover with the knife, and I have four children and people come over, I have to pick and
Shuffle around.
for
Yeah.
now. But the portfolios are fine. You know, the portfolios, nothing bad's going to happen to the art.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and frankly, it's a one of a kind. I mean, if I accidentally, bend a corner like on a comic book, we know that that's really not good. You don't want to damage original art, and you want to be a caretaker of it, but it's not as critical as a comic book.
Yeah, for sure. Do
Those
they have like top loaders, or do they have like for original art pieces?
They do.
Huh. Nice.
I'm not sure they were designed for that. It might be for photo prints, large photo prints.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's a gigantic secondary market for original comic book art, as far as portfolios. I think we just took what existed for photography and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I only have two pieces really, but I know like if I do start collecting, and oh man, after this conversation, I may start looking for more. But yeah, that's really cool because like I've only really looked at mostly modern, and I've only like kind of looked from afar for like kind of the older books, because of obviously in 2020 2021 all the prices of everything comic related has gone up quite a bit. But looking at like kind of the older pieces, so I downloaded one of the pictures from your albums, and I wanted to ask you a story about this.
Okay.
All right, background to this is when I started my YouTube channel, one of the things I did was like comic book summaries and kind of explanations. And one of my first ones was ASM Annual #1, and obviously that was a really cool like video for me because there's like it's all splash pages. And then recently, Steve told me about Web of Spider-Man Annual #3, which I downloaded. No, I actually bought and I read, and so I'm actually I made a video and it's gonna come out soon.
All
So
right.
yes, I'm excited. There's so many cool characters in there.
I'm excited.
So when I looked at your album, I saw this splash page of the Hobgoblin.
Man.
And when I saw this, I was like, wow, this like really pops. And this is what the Hobgoblin is as a character, epitomized in a page. So I wanted to ask you what either drew you to this. Well, obviously this is an amazing page, but like, what's the story behind this page?
This is another page that popped up on eBay, believe it or not, maybe
Wow.
4 years ago. And like you said, it's a no-brainer. I mean, this was up for auction and there were plenty of bids. So this is a situation where, I mean, someone could have outbid me, but I did a cannonball, right? I said, I have to have this page. I don't want to have any regrets. So I formulated a number in my mind that I was willing to pay for it. And then as the auction end got closer and closer, I ratcheted up my number because I didn't want, if this gets away from me, if I would have lost, I want to know that I paid, or they paid more than I was willing to pay.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody with more money than me was up against me, I would have lost. So I won. This page came from Hawaii. I just remember that because I was like nervous. And I'll tell you this, I say it about comic books, Alan. When you buy a page from somebody, like you said, you spoke with the artist, ask them if they have anything else available. Because
Oh, yeah,
if somebody has this page and they're selling it on eBay, they have more original comic book art, guaranteed. And you
for
might
sure.
be able to do a piggyback purchase. That didn't happen in this case, but how I ended up with all those Web of Spider-Man pages was I purchased a web page off of eBay, and then I asked if they had more, and I built a rapport with the person. And that's how I, in a 5-year period, kind of shot up to over 100 pages.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
This
Yeah,
page, showstopper. So this is a pinup. A pinup, sometimes a pinup, people think it's not published original comic book art then. But this, like you said, the Web of Spider-Man annual number 3 has a multitude of these pinups from all these
Mhm.
artists of all the different Spider-Man characters, good guys, bad guys, everybody in between. That's why I recommended that you check it out. And
Yeah,
this is one of the best splashes in that book, if I might
it
say
is.
myself. But
It is. It
yeah,
is. So, yeah, when you mentioned that book, and once I saw this page on your like gallery, I was like, "You have this page?" Like I was really shocked. So that's why I had to download it and surprise you today with like my appreciation for you having this page. Reading about like the characters was really amazing. So, man, so I'm gonna bring you back. All
well, you
right.
taste
Yeah.
because that's on Comic Book Art Fan, my gallery. You pick the 6 ones that you know want everybody to see first,
Yeah.
and very proud of that one. It's amazing. The Hobgoblin's a fantastic character, and that art is just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool.
It pops so much. So what? All right. So I do want to ask you. I know we've looked at like basically a little gallery or a tenth of a gallery of your pieces, but I'm gonna bounce off of
Oh,
Madame Blaster. So what is your mid game? Not your end game, but your mid game. Because like you have a lot of pieces. Do you want to like frame them up, put like more of them up? Like what's the plan for the art that you currently have?
right. She's gonna watch this, so I better get this answer.
Yeah.
Well, I think I mentioned a few times that I don't know the exact number, but I'm hovering around 135 pages or so.
Oh wow, nice.
The first thing I want to do is pare down to 100.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I want to have boundaries with original art, it can get out of control.
Okay, yeah.
So when I get to 100, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll buy 101 when something pops up, and then I will reflect on the 100 and see which one doesn't cut the mustard, and then I will sell it because the hobby, even original comic book art, it needs to fund itself some
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
like you mentioned, you know, and I don't want to deter anyone who's like the market's really hot because that what if page I just recently bought. Like
Mm-hmm.
still happen out there with comic books and original comic book art. So I do want to display more. That's a great thing, a great point of asking me that. It's just for children, and I'm dialing in the man cave, but Madam Blaster is letting me spread my wings a little bit, so I'm going to put up a couple more pieces of original art because she does criticize me if it's locked up in the gun safe. You know what good is it? You know,
Yeah.
so
You have to enjoy what you have, right? So
definitely
either rotate it in and out, or that'd be a cool thing to do. Just like like turn the page every day or every week, essentially.
I do that. I do rotate it. Whatever new comes in, I display it for until the next new piece comes in,
Yeah,
and I do a rotation. So
nice, nice. So I guess this is a bounce off from that, because I wanted to ask you what like the future holds for your original art pieces. Like, so it does sound like you want to make it level off at 100 and focus on the things that you really like. But where you are right now in terms of what's on your save list on eBay or save searches, are you searching for more like Spider-Man or for more certain artists, or like what are you kind of focused on for your original art?
Sam Keith. So I have
Sam
this
Keith.
everything we've talked about: Eric Larson, Sam Keith, Spider-Man, Wolverine. I think Hulk's there still. So I have those saved searches. The neat thing about the saved searches, other stuff pops up in there of interest.
Mm-hmm.
I coming that, believe it or not, is Catwoman. That's in the mail right now, and it's a showstopper. And I never would have thought, I wasn't looking for Catwoman, but it popped up in my feed, and all these examples that you can see what my tastes are is
Mm-hmm.
been popping up these examples. I want a display piece, and I just saw that, and it like said to me, "You should buy me," because I'm amazing and I'm going to display well, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I showed Stephanie, Madam Blaster, and she didn't want me to add a page, and she gave me an honest. She's like, "This is a cool page," and so it's in the mail. But I want to, when I, by paring it down and giving myself the guardrails,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me not just consume and add. It makes me look at what I have and, do I still like it, or can I let that go now?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing that I want to buy or I just bought, is it a lot different than what's inside of my collection? So as my tastes evolve, I'm going to chip away. It just forces me to reflect on what I own instead of just consuming. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Okay.
No, that makes complete sense, because I think I think a lot of comic book collectors have this, like, where there's a ballooning of their collection, and like, there has to be that decompress to focus a little bit more on what you like. For me, that's like cutting down on my like pull list or my subscription list and whatnot. And then this is like, there's so many parallels with like just normal comic book collecting and original art collecting in terms of how you're speaking about it. So I'm honestly like, I'm very surprised about what Madame Blaster said about that book, because she seems like a very hard critic. So if she says it's a good book or a good piece, you gotta jump on it.
Oh yeah, I mean, she opened the door, I walked right through it, you know.
For sure, man. So all right, so I myself feel like I'm gonna start looking at a couple more pieces, and like, this is a lot of great advice throughout this like entire show of like, you have 100 more pieces, we've only looked at 6 of them. Like,
Right.
I could just imagine just like talking to you about every each piece you have and the story behind each one, because man, like, it's not just what do they call newspapers, like, it's not just like it's not just periodicals that you just throw away anymore. These are
Right.
actually pieces of art that, like, famous art, I would say famous artists have put on paper and you own. We are I think we're super lucky to be in a niche of like just modern pop culture that, like, no one's gonna like pick up a Van Gogh for fun, but we could pick up like a Sam Keith for fun or a Eric Larson for fun, and those are like reputable artists in like our circle of hobby. So man, you are way ahead of the game. Even though you say you're a novice collector of original art, man, you are ahead of the game.
I got lucky. I'm happy, you know. There are people who got in it before me and they're a lot happier than me, but I'm very proud of my collection. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say to anybody that's watching, I'm on Instagram, message me if you have any questions about original art. And you should, anyone who's interested in original art owes it to themselves to, and to go to Comic Art Fan
Hmm.
and type in whatever you're interested in, whatever character you like, and it's going to show you what's out there and what you could own. You can, I mean, it's amazing. It's really a cool skew. Some people just go original art and they leave comic books behind.
Huh. That's a very interesting way or approach to collect. I like that. Yeah.
Well, I'm not suggesting, I'm not, I want, you know what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
I collect comic books still, but some people, once they go into the original art world, they see comic books completely different, because it doesn't matter what key it is, there's still a bunch of them out there, even though they're expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's only a few 9/8s or whatever, but these are one of a kind. And when you get bit, that's why I suggest do a cannonball on that first one, because
Yeah.
you're going to get bit, and you don't want to look back later and say, well, these are filler pages. That's what I have. I have a bunch of filler pages. Some filler pages I had to buy some really good pages as a lot. So it's just my advice, but it's such a great part of the hobby. Highly recommended.
Definitely. There's so many nuances and different parts of comic book collecting, from people that just want to collect books, trade paperbacks, omnibuses, original art. And I'm really glad I had you today to kind of talk about this, because I myself am a novice in a lot of things. And even though you consider yourself like not too deep, I feel like you're way deeper than a lot of people. So thank you so much for providing some guidance to collecting original art, Steve. This has been awesome.
Oh, I mean, I had a blast, and our outtake clips are going to be amazing. Okay, but listen, before we go, I need to figure something out. I need to ask you to correct me if I'm wrong. But for the climbing comics, how do I pause?
Oh my god. Yeah, this is not a cat scratcher. This is not necessarily the proper way of climbing, but I've noticed, because the picture is like a little narrow, I have to like climb like this. So it's just like climb, just like up and down, up and down.
And do I have rope, or is safety not an issue here?
Oh no, we're both safe. We're both being belayed by someone, so we're good.
This was so fun. Thanks for showing off my artwork. I mean, it's fun to see my art and hear what you had to say about it too. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, like a lot of the pieces I've either seen in color in print or not seen at all. So you kind of are opening up like a whole new world for all of the viewers and myself. But before we go, do you want to like kind of, I know you've given your advice on new comic or new original art collectors, but is there anything else you want to tell the viewers?
I say don't be intimidated. You'll see expensive prices, but I've given many of these examples that we've looked at. I just hunted and found a great deal, and so don't be intimidated. And it's the best hunt for collectibles out there, as far as I'm concerned. So
I totally believe you.
Yeah,
totally believe you.
But if I'm bidding on it, get out of my way, please.
I'll avoid the Sam Keiths for now, until like you're happy with the enough Sam Keiths that you have.
No.
Yeah, but before we go, I know you have a YouTube and Instagram. Do you want to let people know your handles or information for each?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Alan. On Instagram, it's Master Blaster 129. I think there's some underscores in there. And then on YouTube, if you search Master Blaster Comics, then you'll find my stuff.
Yeah. So. Well, thank you, Steve. And just to confirm, I pulled it up. So yeah, it's master_blaster_129. He has a lot of cool, man. Your videos with Madame Blaster, or I keep saying Madame, but Madame Blaster are
Madame.
great. So Madame are great. So definitely check them out. And from just to close this off, like I always say, from my comic journey to yours, make it your own. But really, like, there's so much making it your own that happens in this hobby, and you're just epitomizing that with what we talked about today. So thank you so much, Steve. This has been an honor, and thank you again for sharing your pieces of work. So
Thanks, Alan. It was my pleasure, and I had a great time.
great. Thank you, Steve.
You're getting the kitchen view and everything. It's like a
Nice.
old Reggie video. Oh man, that just happened. Have it on the outtakes. Larry, the stand just fell over. I need to like lick this thing and stick it or whatever. I know I'm not licking it. That was
How you got into it?
That fell again.